Good morning. Once again, welcome in the lecture series of course Elements of Machine Design. Myself, Mr. S. S. Mari, Head of the Department, Mechanical Engineering, Sharjah Institute of Technology, Polytechnic. Today we are in the lecture number 15. In last lecture, we have studied regarding the aesthetical considerations which are need to be considered while designing an machine element. In today's lecture, we will discuss about ergonomical considerations that are considered for designing a machine element. So before going into the actual considerations of the ergonomics, it is necessary to understand the meaning of ergonomics. What is meant by ergonomics? Now, in simple language, ergonomics is defined as the scientific study of man-machine relationship or man-machine working environment and the application of anatomical, physiological and psychological principles to solve the problems arising from this relationship. Now once again we will try to understand what is the meaning of ergonomics. It is the scientific study, means it is the study carried out. On which parameters? The study is carried out on the parameters of man and machine working environment relationship. Means when an operator operates a machine, then the study is carried out regarding the operating parameters of that machine as well as working environmental parameters of that human operator. Means that human operator has to work in a working environmental parameters, that is lighting, noise, temperature, humidity and air circulation. Now these parameters affects the working efficiency of an operator. So while designing a machine or while designing any device, we need to consider this working environment in which that operator has to work. Now this study of working environment and man and machine relationship is known as the ergonomics. The main aim of ergonomics is to improve the working efficiency of an operator while he is working on a particular machine. So while designing a particular machine, it is necessary to understand these working parameters, and by considering these working parameters, the machine is designed or some elements of the machine are designed. That is known as the ergonomics or ergonomical considerations. Now this word ergonomics is formed from two Greek words, that is ergon and nomos. Ergon means work and nomos means laws, natural laws of work, means how natural parameters affects the working efficiency of a human being. That is nothing but the ergonomics. The main objective of ergonomics is to make the machine fit for user rather than to make the user adapt himself to the machine. Means you have to design a machine in a such a way that naturally that machine should be fit for working for that operator rather than that operator has to adjust itself. The aim behind this is to decrease the physical and mental stresses to the user. when we consider the ergonomical aspects of designing a device or machine, the main aim of an design engineer behind this is to decrease the stresses which are arising while working on that device or while working on that machine. So that is the main aim of ergonomical considerations. How smoothly a worker can operate that device or machine, that is the aim of ergonomical considerations. So now we will discuss about the communication between man and machine. Now this picture is shown here, which shows a communication between the man and machine. Now in this picture, man-machine closed loop system is shown. The closed loop system means the loop is being closed by different processes. That is known as the closed loop system. Now in this closed loop system, the machine has display unit and controls. If you see this closed loop system, this machine unit, this is the machine unit, this is the machine unit. This machine unit has machine display and machine controls. A man receives the information. If we want to understand this man-machine relationship, try to understand. In this case, this is the operator, means man, and this is the machine. We have to understand the relationship between the man and machine and ergonomical considerations behind this. Now in this case, man means operator receives information from the machine display through the sense organs. Now eye is the sense organ. Through these sense organs, the operator receives, means man receives information from the machine display. Now according to the information received by the operator, according to the information received by a man, he then takes corrective action. Now this is the corrective action. As per the information received by the machine through machine display, the operator or man take correct action through the movements of hands. This is the corrective action. He then takes the corrective action on the machine controls. Now these are the machine controls. Now this corrective action is taken by the operator through the movements of his fingers on the machine control using the hand or feet as per the control mechanism. This man-machine closed loop system is influenced by, now we have seen the working. Now this is the machine. Machine gives information to the display. The information is received by the man or operator through the sense organs. By analyzing this information, this operator takes a corrective action as per the requirement of this information received. He takes corrective action by using controls, means he gives some input to the machine, or he takes some corrective action on the machine through controls by using its hand movements or feet movements. Now this is the closed loop. The information is received by the man operator and it takes the corrective action on the machine controls. Now while doing this, these working parameters, or what we can say environmental parameters, affects the efficiency of this operator. That parameters are lightning, means how well lightning is available in that room. Suppose, take the example, he is operating a CNC machine. Now when that operator, CNC operator, is operating a CNC machine, he will receive some information from the machine display, that is the CNC machine. He will take some corrective action by using some controls. But while doing this, he has to work in an environment where there is a chances of less lightning, means quite amount of lightning is not available in that room. There will be a noise, there will be a low and higher temperature conditions, there will be a less or more humidity conditions, and there will be not a proper air circulation. these 5 parameters affects the working conditions of that operator, which will add or which will decrease the efficiency of its operation. So while designing a machine, we need to take into considerations these parameters which will affect the operation of a man or operator. That is known as the ergonomical consideration, and this is known as the man-machine closed-loop system. With the help of man-machine closed-loop system, you can illustrate the ergonomical considerations while designing a machine. Now there are some another parameters where we need to take the ergonomical considerations into account. Now first parameter is the ergonomical considerations in the design of displays. Now displays means anything which gives the information about that machine or which can be displayed through different display units to the operator, say pressure gauge, temperature indicator. Now these are the displays which shows the readings of that particular properties. Now what will be the ergonomical considerations? Now in simple language we have seen the ergonomical consideration is nothing but it is a relationship between man and machine, how easily an operator or man can operate that machine without any extra efforts. Now in case of designing of display, means how we have to design displays which are placed on the devices or machine. Now first consideration that the scale should be clear and legible, means the scale should be clear. There should not be any kind of the unclearness in the visibility of the scale. The parameters, the marks on the scale should be clear. The numbers on the scale should be clearly visible. That is the meaning of the scale should be clear and legible. The second parameter is the size of numbers or letters on the scale should be taken appropriate. Yes, there should be a appropriateness between the numbers and letters which are displayed on the scale. You should not confuse between the alphabets of upper letter or small letters, Roman letters or normal letters. There should be a smoothness in the size of the numbers. The number should be in a proper size on the scale with proportionate with the display of a scale. Now third parameter is the pointer. The pointer of a scale should be of knife edge with a mirror in a dial to minimize the parallax error while taking the readings. We know that the errors occurring while taking the readings. We have studied these parameters in the EMA subject or in MEM subject. What are the different types of the errors? That is the observational errors. So to avoid the observational errors, to avoid the parallax error, the pointer of a scale should be knife edge, so that it can point a particular number or it can point a particular letter on that scale. That's why the pointer should be a knife edge to avoid the parallax error. Now fourth important point, the scale should be divided in a linear progression such as 0, 10, 20, means there should be a linear progression should be followed on a scale. And it should not like this 0, 5, 25, 45. It is not the linear progression. The gap between two numbers, the gap between two letters should be same. Means 0 to 5, if there are 5 lines, then 5 to 10, there should be a 5 lines. Means there should be a fixed list count of that scale. That is, the linear progression should be followed by the scale. It should not follow the non-linear progression. It should follow the linear progression. That is the most important point. Fifth point is the numbers or subdivisions between the number divisions should be as less as possible. Means if the scale is divided between 0 to 10, then the subdivisions between that 0 to 10 should be less. Means in between 0 to 10 there should be only 5 lines or should be 3 lines, so that linear progression can be followed. It should not have a in between 0 to 10. There should not be a 20 lines or 35 lines like this. Means the subdivisions which are followed between the main divisions should be small. Now, fifth important parameter that we know that the numbering should be in clockwise direction. As we know that when you observe the scale or pressure gauge or temperature indicator, then you will come to know that the numbers which are engraved on a scale are in the clockwise direction on a circular scale. If the scale is circular, then number should be in a clockwise direction, and if the scale is a horizontal, then number should be from left to right, and if the scale is a vertical, then number should be from bottom to top. These are the three parameters we need to consider while giving a numbers on scale. If that scale is a circular, then the numbering should be in a clockwise direction. The numbers should be given in a clockwise direction. If the scale is a horizontal, like a simple scale what we are using for measuring a distance, then number should be from left to right. If the scale is vertical, as we use the level indicators or water level indicator, then the scale should be from bottom to top. So these are the 5 considerations, ergonomical consideration, that need to be considered while designing a displays. That is, it should be clear and visible. The size of the numbers or letters on the scale should be taken appropriate with respect to the size of the scale. The pointer should have a knife edge so that it can avoid the parallax error. The scale should be divided in a linear progression. There should be a same amount of subdivisions between the two main divisions. Then the number of subdivisions between the main divisions should be as small as possible or as less as possible. And the last one is most important, that while giving a numbering or while giving a lettering to the scale, if the scale is a circular scale, then the number should be from clockwise. If the scale is horizontal, then the numbers from left to right. If the scale is vertical, then the numbering should be from bottom to top. So these are the ergonomical considerations regarding the displays. Now in man-machine relationship, we have seen this display. So this is one of the parameter, display on the machine. Now second parameter is the machine controls. Now this is the first ergonomical considerations in design of displays. Now what should be the ergonomical considerations in design of controls? How controls should be designed on a machine, on a device, so that operator can feel a free operation of that machine. There should not be any excess efforts that should be required by the operator to operate the machine. In simple language, we have to design a control in such a way that the operator can easily operate that machine without taking any extra movements, any extra physical efforts, so that the stress can be avoided, mental stress can be avoided. Then what should be the ergonomical considerations while designing a control? The first consideration is the control device should be logically positioned and easily accessible. Means while operating on a lathe machine, if the controls on the right hand side should be logically positioned, it should not be on a high or it should not be at a low position. It should be logically positioned as per the requirement of the hand movements and feet movements of an operator. It should be easily accessible. If an operator is operating a machine, then he should not take any extra effort to reach that control. That control mechanism should be easily accessible through the feet as well as the hands. Take the example of a two-wheeler. We know that the brakes, that the foot brake and clutch are easily accessible. We can easily press the clutch. We can easily operate the foot brake, so that there should not be any extra effort required to operate this mechanism. That is the meaning of that control devices should be logically positioned and it should be easily accessible. Next is the control operation should involve minimum and smooth movements. Now while operating a machine, that operator should require a minimum movements. In simple language, while we are changing the gears of a vehicle, we require minimum efforts, we require minimum movements to change the gear. In this way, the operator while working on a machine or a device, he should require a minimum movements or smooth movements. He should not add extra force for that movements. He should not move further for that movements. That movement should be easily accessible or easily carried out. That is the meaning of the control operation should be involved minimum and smooth movements. Third is the control operation should consume minimum energy. Means while operating that device, while operating that control panel, while operating that brake, while operating that clutch, while changing gears, while working on lathe machine, while moving that tailstock, while giving feed, while giving speed, these movements should be consume minimum energy. It should not require extra energy for the operation. It should not require extra force required to operate that mechanism or that button or that mechanism which is on the machine. And it should consume minimum energy so that that operator can use his energy for a concentration of his work. Next is the portion of the control device should come in contact with his user's hand should be conformity with the anatomy of human hands. Means if any device has a control which is operated by the human hand or operator's hand, then it should be in accessible location. In simple language, while operating a clutch of a two vehicle, we can easily press a clutch and we can change the gears. We can shift the gears. So in this way, that control device should be easily come in contact with the anatomy of hands. It should not be at a high position or it should not be at a low position. The proper color should be used for control devices and backgrounds so as to give the required psychological effect. Means while operating any device, take a simple example of a mobile. While operating a mobile, while using a mobile, the display which is shown on a mobile gives pleasant appearance. Now due to that pleasant appearance, while operating a mobile, we do not feel it tiredable work. In this way, a proper colors should be used for the control device so that it gives a psychological effect. Means it indicates now this color coding is used for this purpose. We have seen in the aesthetical consideration also. Green, yellow, red colors are used to indicate a specific function of that machine, a specific task of that machine, a specific situation of that machine. So color coding should be used. Take the example of a dial indicator or your fuel meter on a vehicle. A economic zone is shown by the green color. Means it gives the indication that we are running that vehicle, we are riding that vehicle in an economical zone. Now the most important part, the shape and size of the control device should be such that the user is encouraged to handle in such a way that as to exert required force but not excessive force damaging the control of the machine. Means the necessary force required to operate that vehicle, to operate that device, to operate that mechanism, the shape and size of the control device should be such that without any extra force that device can be operated. Take the example, simple example. In a four-wheeler, while changing gear, a driver should not require to operate that gear with extra force. We can change that gear easily. If you take the example of family cars, luxurious cars, then you come to know that we can easily operate, we can easily change the gear with minimum efforts. With so much minimum efforts, we can easily change the gear in such a way that we have to take into consideration that there should not requirement of extra force while operating that control. So this is the one of the important considerations while designing a control. So these are the ergonomical considerations while designing a control of a machine. In last slide we have seen for the displays. Now this is regarding the controls. Now we will take one simple case study. Now case study is regarding the lathe machine. Suppose as a design engineer, if we want to design a lathe machine, then what should be the ergonomical considerations while designing a lathe machine? We all know that we have all seen the lathe machine. What is the purpose of the lathe machine? Which operations are carried on the lathe machines? What is the construction of the lathe machine? That's why I have taken the case study of the lathe machine. While designing of a lathe machine, what should be the ergonomical considerations? The first is the control on the lathe should be easily accessible and properly positioned. That is the position of the headstock, position of the tailstock should be properly positioned. The control operation should involve minimum motions. Now while carrying out the operation of turning, while carrying out the operation of facing, while carrying out the operation of drilling, while carrying out the operation of a threading. Now these motions, the control operations should require the minimum motions. Now the height of the lathe should be matched with the worker for operation. The height of the lathe should not be more than the height of the worker. It should be easily accessible. The lathe machine should make less noise during operation because it will affect the psychological conditions of an operator. It will deflect the concentration of an operator on which he is operating, on which he is carrying that operation. So lathe machine should not make more noise. The force and power required, capacity required in turning the wheel as per the operation or human being can apply normally. We know that while moving a tailstock, we require to carry out the forward motion or backward motion. While carrying out that forward and backward motion, the motion should be carried in a easily manner. We should not require extra efforts to move that wheel and to carry out this backward and forward motion. It means that it should be designed such that with a minimum force, this wheel can be moved. It should get acquired accuracy in operation. Most important part. The purpose for which that lathe machine is designed, that means to give a accuracy in operation. In any operation, say turning, facing, drilling, threading, knurling, he should provide a accuracy. That is the purpose of designing a machine. So these are the most important parameters. These are some ergonomical considerations while designing a particular lathe machine. You can take the example of two-wheeler, you can take the example of a four-wheeler, you can take the example of a compressor, you can take the example of any device, working device, and you can carry out the case study. And by understanding the ergonomical considerations of the controls and the displays and the concept of ergonomics, you can enlist your parameters. What are your parameters for the designing of a particular device or for designing of a particular display? So this is regarding the ergonomical considerations in designing of a display, designing of a controls and concept of ergonomics. Thank you.